allow the people of Pakistan to decide their own political future?
Well, it's not about the current government that they have made a decision to deny that opportunity for the people of Pakistan to go into the elections and elect a mandated government for them. It was for all the legal and technical challenges which we were facing over there related to the electoral procedures and processes, and eventually we got over with them, and hopefully on the 8th of February Pakistan's people would be having this choice and they would exercise it.
You say hopefully. Do you pledge to hold the election on February 8?
It's not about my pledge, it's a constitutional requirement. It has to happen. So of course, everyone is committed towards that day.
It's also your job as caretaker Prime Minister to ensure that the country goes to an election. Will it happen on February 8?
That's what exactly I'm saying, and this is what I'm reiterating, that it's a constitutional requirement and everyone in the country is committed towards that particular day, and Pakistan and Pakistani people would have a chance to exercise their right to vote, and they would elect another government for themselves for the next 5 years.
Prime Minister, as you'll appreciate, there is deep concern in Pakistan at the moment about the freeness and fairness of this upcoming election, particularly after the jailing of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan and most recently the banning of his party symbol. Can you address those concerns?
Well, the fairness and the freeness are always subjective matters, and Pakistan is a transitional democracy, and in the whole of the region, and particularly in the South Asia, Eastern Europe to an extent, and a few other regions also. These transitional democracies, they do face domestic challenges. I'm not saying we are living in a settled, ideal democracy where all the standards, even on the Western Hemisphere, those standards are being questioned, and the quantum or what we call as a parameter for the fairness is questioned even in those countries where there are settled democracies. But yes, there are concerns, but we'll try that as much as we can to give a chance to the people so they can elect their future leadership in a very fair manner.
I'm sure the people of Pakistan would agree, though, that they cannot necessarily be held to a different standard to an election in the West, for example, and as it stands, one of the country's most popular leaders in its history is in jail. The electoral symbol that he uses for his party has been changed, and the date of the election has been delayed. So how does that meet international standards for fairness?
Well, he's not jailed for his political opinions. He's jailed for his alleged role in committing riots and encouraging arsons and encouraging his followers towards the disruptions. So these sort of behaviors are dealt with law even in the settled democracies. What happened when the people attacked on 4th of January, probably on Capitol Hill, and the kind of a judicial outcome was there where the people had to face the imprisonment and rest of the penalties associated with it. This is the same sort of analogy that you're having or seeing back home in Pakistan. The people who have been involved in the riots are behind the bars. It's not that the innocent people have been picked up for their political opinion and they've been denied a political role or being part of that process. So I don't see that as an unfair mean.
Khan says these charges are politically motivated to keep him off the ballot.
That's fine. He has all the right to say that, but let the courts decide that. It's not for me or for media or for the public opinion to decide this question, whether that has happened, it has been framed or not. So the courts are there to address all these questions.
Critics also say this is likely the most rigged election in Pakistan's history. So why should we trust you?
Oh, well, first, they said we're not going to have elections. Now, when we are having an election, they're saying, oh, it's one of the most rigged election in the history. Let the elections happen, and then there would be international observers, there would be domestic media reporting it, there would be international media who would be reporting it, and let them then report and decide whether it was a rigged or not that rigged election.
Is the media free and fair in Pakistan, though?
I think so, even freer than the Western media. If you do the comparison, the Western media probably is under more stricter regulations than the media in Pakistan.
I wanted to ask you about the economic outcomes as well. The World Bank has warned that the uncertainty surrounding the elections in Pakistan may hamper foreign investment or even put your IMF funding package at risk. Do you accept that there is significant economic uncertainty stemming from the uncertainty surrounding the elections?
I don't know from where this assessment is coming, but on
From the World
11th, but on 11th of January, the IMF board has approved our second tranche, and all those speculation regarding the elections have been addressed. Everyone is certain about the election date on 8th of February. And I think so that's going to lead towards a stable government, and which would translate into economic stability. I do see and project that probably though there wouldn't be a great growth rate in Pakistan, but there would be a sense of stability. It would be slow, but it would be sustainable.
When it comes to the economic numbers here, inflation climbed to almost 30% in December, so a double-digit number there, and nearly 40% of Pakistanis as well are living in poverty, again according to the World Bank. The country's economic prospects have been dire for quite a long time. So in your view, what will the next government of Pakistan need to do in order to improve the living standards of everyday Pakistanis, and why has this not become more of a domestic issue for you in your caretaker role?
Well, it was a top priority to bring the economic revival and focus on the growth and the rest of the economic indicators. For the next government, I think so, if there has to be a clear principle which would be guiding their, or which should be guiding their behavior, is to earn more and spend less. Until and unless there is spending or the expenditure side of the government which needs a thorough rationalization, and the revenue generation needs to be focused. We need to revamp our taxation system. It is badly redundant. We need to bring back the non-documented economy into documented economy, and transform our state to a more viable economic entity.
So how do you do that?
Well, we would be publishing our white paper, what we did in last 4 to 5 months. We did introduce the revamp program within the taxation system. We brought a structural changes to that. That's going to pass through the cabinet probably by the end of the month, and it would be in place as policy. We went for aggressive privatization spree. We cut a few of the government expenditures at the federal level. We are trying to talk to the provinces also, so they can also rationalize their spending. So there were many areas in which the caretaker government did focus and did deliver.
On the issue of foreign policy and security, and in particular domestic security, Pakistan has seen a very sharp rise in terrorist suicide attacks. You have said recently that that was because of the Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan after the US withdrawal in 2021. Do you blame the Biden administration for that?
No, I do not blame anyone for anything. It is the situation and the circumstance in which we are living. And we did foresee that there would be implications for Pakistan when the US and NATO withdrawal would happen. And that's why Pakistan was advocating for a responsible withdrawal. But at the same time, we do appreciate and see the perspective of the Western Hemisphere, the US and the rest of its allies. When they were in rush to leave the region, they had their own priorities. They wanted to focus in the other regions of the globe, and they wanted to focus on Indo-Pacific, on the rise of China, and a war on Ukraine, and now recently the crisis in the Middle East. So Afghanistan was an abandoned project for them. But for us, it had a real-time tangible implications, and particularly the gadgets which were given to the Afghan Republic Army and which unfortunately were sold into the black market, has been transferred to all these non-state actors, and they are challenging it within our region. And my prediction is that it will have implications for the larger Middle East also.
Can you expand on what those implications may be?
Well, they would be selling it to the all non-actors who are present here in the region, in the black market for the money, until and unless there is no broad-based policy to discourage all such non-state actors wherever they exist as illegitimate, and their activities, be it economic activity or their other enterprises, should be eliminated or curtailed at best.
Is the region doing enough to respond to those security concerns that you're outlining? And if not, what would you like to see?
I think so. At the moment, we are on our own and we are responding to that challenge. There is a requirement of a regional approach to focus on this challenge, because it would not just limit itself to Pakistan. It will have a spillover effect to Central Asia, maybe to other parts of the region, larger Middle East. So even at a global level, I feel the strengthening of the structural level, institutional level of Pakistani state is very much required. We need to enhance the capacity of counterterrorism. We need to encourage that Pakistan can become a viable economic entity and a viable democracy at the same time, both. If the politics of Pakistan is more focused and its economy is divorced, probably both of the ideas wouldn't be able to sustain in a coalesced manner.
The answer in Pakistan from a domestic perspective to address this security concern has been to deport Afghan refugees. Why do you believe that makes Pakistan safer?
Well, the idea did not revolve thoroughly around the security challenge. The idea was around the Westphalian state, any state which has the sovereign right to send back or legalize, for that matter, the illegal aliens who are residing in its territory. So this was the same kind of a challenge which Pakistan was facing. And there were people for the last 4 or 5 decades, and few of them, no doubt, were engaged with our terrorism challenge, with our crime challenge, with our organized crime challenge, and other social evils, but not all of them.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Prime Minister, because the question that is being asked here on the ground and around the world is, where do those people go?
Where do these people go?
The Afghan people, where do they go?
Well, they have to go back to their home. They have a home.
Doesn't that exacerbate the security challenge in the region, though?
Well, primarily we are responsible for the security of the population of Pakistanis. The region's responsibility comes at a later stage. The American government is primarily responsible for the security of the American population, not of the entire global population. Yes, it does have a responsible role towards that, which everyone should play, but primacy and then the importance which we assign to is the security of the Pakistani population. So we did come to that conclusion that in order to achieve that goal, we need to send these illegal aliens who are not visible in our database, who are not visible in our system, and there is no perpetual ban on them. If they want to return to the country, they can do by receiving their travel documents from back home, and they can have a regulated movement towards the side of Pakistan if they want to return, if they wish to come either for a business or a study purpose or any other purpose, whatever that is. That's how they will be visible into our system, that who they are, what they are doing, and the government will have a vigilante role over such people.
Have the US actions in Afghanistan driven Pakistan closer to China, both from an economic and security perspective?
No, I don't think so. It's the US actions in Afghanistan. But yes, with China, we are strategically close. We have got a history with the Chinese, and there was a time when the Chinese and the US were quite close with one another when they were containing the Soviets. And that closeness happened via Pakistan. The famous Kissinger's clandestine trip to Beijing was via Islamabad. So that there is a history of all 3 countries being quite close to one another. And then the strategic competition and the vying did change the position of the two, and that is China and US. But Pakistan still enjoys and remains pretty much close to Chinese state, and no matter what happens in the region, either in Afghanistan or anywhere else, that will not affect our relationship with China.
Just finally, Prime Minister, what is your message to the Biden administration as Pakistan enters these elections in February?
Well, Pakistan is a country of consequence, not a country of concern. So we need that Pakistan should be constructively engaged. It's a mid-sized power, and its actual potential and role needs to be appreciated, and that constructive engagement, be it in region or at a global scale, is the requirement and need of the hour.
Prime Minister, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.